and Apex Hotels. I'm joined today by Lee and Kirsty. Before I hand over to them to do introductions and set the scene, I just wanted to go over what the theme is of today's webinar. So we are very much exploring how Apex Hotels are building one connected platform experience for over 1,400 deskless workers across 13 plus UK hotels. They're essentially bringing learning, communication, onboarding, and compliance together in one single place. And who better to hear from than Lee Rathbone and Kirsty Hayes. So if we start with yourself, Kirsty, if you just want to introduce yourself before we set the scene.
Yeah, thanks very much, Ryan. So yeah, my name is Kirsty. I am the Talent and Development Manager at Apex Hotels. Been here for about 5 years now, coming next month. And yeah, that's pretty much me. Yourself, Lee?
Thank you, Kirsty. Thank you, Ryan. Yes, so I'm Lee Rathbone. I'm the Head of Learning Development here at Apex Hotels. Not been here quite as long as young Kirsty, but approaching my 3rd year this year. I think October is my 3-year anniversary.
Perfect, thank you both. And before we dig into questions around how you're using Thrive, it'd be great to understand, Kirsty, if you could just set the scene on, firstly, an overview of Apex Hotels, so who you are, what you do, how many employees you have, and then maybe just a little bit around kind of that environment that led you to looking for a new learning platform.
Yeah, sure. So we are Apex Hotels, and we have 3 different brands within our portfolio. So we have our Apex Core brand, where we have 9 hotels, mainly city centre based. So we have our 3 hotels in Edinburgh, 1 in Dundee, 1 in Glasgow, and we've also got our recent acquisition in our Apex Dunblane Hydro, which is based in the Stirlingshire area. And we also have our 2 hotels in London, and then we also have a hotel in Bath. So that's our Apex Core 9 hotels. And then on top of that, we have recently entered into the rural market. So we have our Pitlochry Hotel, which is called Pine Trees. We also have our Meldrum House Hotel, which is based up in Aberdeenshire, and we have our hotel that is based down in Newbury as well. So a very diverse portfolio in terms of hotels, but on top of that, we also have our own laundry facility called Hospitality Linen Services to supply all of our linen across our hotels in the north, which is really great. I think in terms of, you know, when you think about the reasons, and Leo will elaborate on this a lot more, but the main reason for us looking to change our LXP provider was that we wanted to find a platform that was able to reach such a diverse workforce that was going to be able to provide learning that was going to be on the go in the flow of their work. We've got a workforce in the main that is working numerous different shift patterns, different brand propositions. You know, not all roles are the same, so we knew we had to find a platform that was going to be flexible for us, that was going to be able to offer that we wanted to offer. So, but I'll let Lee elaborate on that a bit more because he was much more involved in those conversations.
Thank you, Kirsty. Yeah, I think you put it rather well, Kirsty. It is a diversity of a workforce and how they connect to learning, but I think the reason why, or what people think learning is, and I think historically our workforce, particularly our teams, our people, felt learning was all about compliance. And I think what we were doing before was very much a compliance-based learning journey, and we wanted to make it so much more there. In fact, our platform, Thrive, is agnostic of any of our brand propositions, whether that's Apex, Hospitality Linen Services, or Monogram Collective in terms of 3 rural hotels. And actually, we call it Grow Yourself Here, which is all about growing, thriving, and belonging, and having that sense of belonging. So it's the ability to connect people to a platform anytime, any place, anywhere they can do learn at their own style. Of course, compliance is always really important, but it's not the most important thing in terms of what we think of in terms of developing our organisation.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we met quite a few times, Lee, during that process of you finding the provider. There was lots of different people from the Apex side involved. I always praise Henna. She worked like so hard on the project, but ultimately you brought quite a lot of teams together. So while I think people just think a people function is one team, but it actually spans across L&D to talent to HR, and ultimately there was quite a lot of people in the room who had a say in that decision. How did you decide on that kind of direction that Apex needed, where okay, we need compliance, but have we thought about comms? Have we thought about career pathways? Was that quite a lot to kind of tie in together? But and are you seeing kind of the fruits of that now?
Yeah, I think we are in a lot of ways, Ryan, but I think there's also opportunity. There's always opportunity to do more. I think in terms of the direction of our brand and the direction of travel we have, we always knew we needed to connect people all into one place. That was always our driver, but that also came at a cost, because a previous platform, as an example, whilst being an LMS platform, we used to use that to deliver all of our performance reviews, annual performance discussions, etc. So, you're right, we had to have everybody in the room around that discussion, because whilst there were benefits, there were also risks attached to that, and we had to really understand and mitigate those risks along the journey. And as I say, that is still a journey. We've done so much so fast. I can't believe we're just over a year into our relationship with Thrive, but we have a good connection rate to the platform. We have a multifaceted media on the platform that's not compliance based, and it has variation of different styles of learning that appeal to different learning styles, and Thrive gives us the opportunity to do that. But also to connect to people through the mobile app is also the game changer for us, in terms of majority of our people, as we say, are deskless. They don't have corporate accounts, and they connect to the platform through their own personal accounts. So it wasn't just an L&D decision. It was a people and culture decision. It was also about talent, how we improve that pipeline of talent, how we improve the journey of onboarding. Onboarding isn't about day one. It's actually about day -5. What happens from that point of interview through to somebody accepting a role and starting. We want to feed information to people, so when they join the business on the first day, they come in with an understanding they've already consumed some information, so they have a curious mindset, they have informed questions they want to ask, and they already know something about the job, about the function, about the hotel, about the organisation before they even get here. So all those things we have begun to do. We've still got some journey to do on that, but we're certainly heading in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think the grow yourself tagline kind of encapsulates all of that. We often hear from hospitality, and this is probably cliche, it's been said for a while, that how do we convince people that it's a career and not just a job? And I don't think that's just hospitality. I think that rings true to a lot of sectors that have frontline workers. So you went with the grow yourself tagline, but for the platform, for that naming identity. What does that look like for you post sort of onboarding or post reoccurring training? And happy for either of you to take that question.
Do you want to go, Kirsty? You go for it.
Yeah,
Go for it.
okay. No worries. So post-training, in terms of those development opportunities that we offer to our people via the platform, first of all, we have our warmer welcome day that we run on a regular basis. So for our new starts that have joined into the business, they will get a lovely warmer welcome session where they will meet up with various people who have started within the business, and we will deliver a session on, providing them with all the information they require and all the stuff that makes Apex great, and help to create that sense of belonging and a love and joy around hospitality and wanting to be here, and the fact that you're part of such a great brand. So that's one of the first elements of learning that they receive, and that is hosted on Thrive, in terms of that our people sign up to that warmer welcome session through the events section of the platform. We then also offer numerous CPD sessions, whether it be through supervisory skills, delivering feedback, whatever it may be. Some people like to call them CPD soft skills. I prefer to call them power skills. We offer numerous sessions across the platform that our people can sign up to. one of the things that we had to really think about when we first launched the platform is we didn't want to front load our people with content. We wanted to be able to provide accessible learning that fitted in the flow of work, in terms of, we knew that our people are working in a very fast-paced working environment, and we knew that majority of them were deskless. So we had to think about, how do we capture our audience, and when we do capture them, how do we make sure that we keep them there, essentially. So we've done things like launching podcasts internally with various members across the team. So we have a sommelier in our Apex Waterloo hotel, where we did a vodka series on wine, which was really good, and it was just really great to engage and interact with someone else in the business who wasn't L&D. You know, people tend to find it a lot more relatable if they're learning from someone that they already know. Not saying that our people in our business don't know their L&D team, but you know, they're more so in the operations. We've done numerous podcasts as well. So we've done external podcasts with some of our partners, which is really important to us, around apprenticeships and how do they differ between Scotland and England, and how do they apply for an apprenticeship with Apex, as well as opportunities for scholarships and things like that on the platform, whether it be our Great Mind Scholarship and things like that. So yeah, bite-sized learning has been key in terms of our engagement. We've recently launched Knowledge Bites, again, as those 20-minute sessions that people can join, listen to a podcast that's been delivered by our trainers. So it's all sorts of different things like that we're doing to engage our people on the platform.
I think if I could just add into that, and I think linking it back into Grow Yourself here, where we talk about the meaning behind grow, thrive, and belong. The grow bit is everything about essentially getting you ready and fit for your role, that induction period up to the end of your probation, and we have defined pathways which we build onto the platform, which aren't actually owned by us entirely. They're owned by us, by the individual, but most importantly by the line manager. And it reflects how learning actually happens. We all know that 70% of learning happens in the workplace, 20% happens from peer-to-peer, and 10% is actually funded by my team. And that is the reality, and that's the right reality. So our pathways of learning are designed around that. So if someone's coming into housekeeping, food and beverage, regardless of the role, they will have to find pathway, and the methodology of that delivery varies, but 70% of it is actually owned by the line manager. The sense of going from grove to thrive is about thriving in your role and being the best you can, bringing your best self to work, and giving you the tools to be, better than you already know you are. And then the belonging piece is tied into the retention piece about how do we grab people, how do we hold people, how do we keep people into hospitality and see that they've got a role, not just today, but also into the future. The compliance piece is really important because 2.5 years ago, we were just a very flat compliance-based team. We don't touch compliance now. Actually, it's completely owned by the operational teams, and actually, where you could look at the statistics and numbers and go, yeah, we're 95% compliance, but it's not just about the cold numbers. It's about how people are consuming it, when they're consuming it, how long they take to consume it. We're challenging all of that, but we don't have conversations with the business and telling them that they're behind on their compliance. In fact, they talk to us about what they've got coming down the road because they can see it, because the data from Thrive feeds through to the dashboards. It's been a complete game changer and allowed us to focus on some of the important stuff that is real learning, all the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point there, Lee, because we often hear teams saying that compliance can bottleneck through a central learning team, and it ends up taking up the majority of the time, when in fact you're not there for just completions, you're there for outcomes, I suppose. What are those outcomes? There might be speed to readiness, it may be turning a deputy manager into an area manager, and all these things that come with learning. I suppose that might be a decent jumping off point if I actually share my screen and just for 5 minutes go into your platform, and we can just have a look. Appreciate not going to try and show anything that you don't want people to see, but I think it's really good if you could maybe just walk through at this point kind of the way you layer content out to your audience. And do you want to jump in there, Kirsty? Can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, I can see your screen. Yeah, so if we just scroll at the top, I think it's quite important just to talk about the campaign banner. So we work collaboratively with the business and a wider comms team, basically discussing, what are the topics that matter to our people, what's important, and we will create a calendar of events, if you like, that will feed into our campaign awareness banner. Now, it's not always related to certain awareness campaigns. It can be something that we're launching across the platform, whether that be our new Knowledge Bite session or the launch of our new Great Mind Scholarship, or whatever it may be. This is a really great tool because we can actually share this campaign with our learners. As soon as that goes live, it will go out to our people and they will receive a notification, basically gravitating them towards that to have a look at the resources that sit behind the campaign. And it's just really shown to our people what's important to us. So yeah, that's another way that our people access learning on the platform, and it just helps us to promote our offering. And then if you scroll down a wee bit for me there, Ryan, you'll also see that we have our not to be missed section. So this is where we put essentially content on the platform that is important, that we want to promote, new features. So we've got a section there on Thrive With Us, which is a new video that we've worked collaboratively with the Thrive content team on, to basically talk about what we've achieved in the past year with Thrive, how many people have connected to the platform and all these sorts of things. We're promoting the mobile app on there, we're promoting learning on the go to try and encourage our people to download the app. And we've also got on there Thrive AI as well. So yeah, just promoting the different features that Thrive has to offer. And then also on there, you'll see that we have our culture and inclusion calendar, which links quite nicely into the Thrive banner at the top, so people know what's coming in terms of the future content and the future banners that they can have a nosy at. And then we've also got the promotion of our Great Mind Scholarship, which is essentially WSET level 2, which our people will apply to, and if they're successful, we will agree to fund their WSET level 2, sorry. So they can pursue that qualification with us as well. So it's not just about content, it's also about promoting learning opportunities for our people as well. And if you just jump back out of there for me, and if you scroll a wee bit further down, there you will see our Knowledge Bite. So this is fairly new to our platform. This is basically short, bite-sized learning. It's only 20 minutes. Our people have the opportunity where they can, whether they're accessing it through the app, on their way into work, or if they're wanting to access it on their lunch break, whatever it may be, they can jump on. It's delivered live by our trainers, and they can basically listen in on a session on whether it be goal setting, holding yourself accountable, whatever it may be. And then scrolling down again, we also have our apprenticeship section. Apprenticeships are really important for us here at Apex. It's something that we massively try to promote and encourage our people to apply to. But as you'll know, as I've mentioned, we've got our locations in the north, our locations in the south, and both are set up very differently in terms of apprenticeships. So we need to make sure that we are being crystal clear on the different offerings and what is available to our people. And also in there, you'll see our apprenticeship spotlight, where we've done podcasts and vodcasts with our apprentices who have received distinctions and their different journeys, and all these sort of things. Some of them will be written testimonials depending on what our people are comfortable with. And then we've also got podcasts and things like that as well, that we've carried out with our people. And then we've also got our podcast picks as well. So there are various podcasts that we've launched on the platform for our people. And then we've also got a Your Thoughts section. So Your Thoughts section is actually really important to us. So this is the opportunity for our people to provide us feedback. So whether that be through a face-to-face delivery session that they've been part of, or whether it be some feedback that they want to give on the platform, or a piece of content that they've participated in on the platform as well. So we gather all of that feedback and we review it on a regular basis to make sure that basically we're providing the best possible learning experience possible, regardless of the method of delivery.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah.
And what I really like about this is, if we think about the different styles of content and also the different levels of content. You could be an operations manager, you could be a head chef, you could be an apprentice, you could be somebody that is perhaps part-time. It feels like there is content for everybody, and not just the content itself, but the styles as well. So somebody might prefer doing a webinar, somebody else might want to listen to a podcast, someone else wants to do e-learning. It feels really inclusive to the user without feeling overwhelming. Like I've got 15 things I must complete, but more of a here's tools to arm yourself with the next stage of your career, and away you go. And I think it's easy for people to not actually understand that difference between Scotland and England sometimes, especially when it comes to alcohol laws. Like there are actual laws that are different, and you need to make sure that, I suppose, they're included in that as well when it comes to the compliance pieces. This is also, am I right in thinking that something that you put into your Explore page as well to kind of make it easier for people to find? Do you want to maybe talk through this?
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in there if that's okay. So the Explore page is just a navigation page that breaks everything down into subheaders, and it's split between, events that people can enroll onto and attend that may be relative to their induction journey, their specific role, additional learning, or just growing themselves. We have all of our learning library of content, but we also have a brand and brand culture awareness, which is really important to us in terms of where people can understand more about our complete offering. Just because you work at Apex doesn't mean to say you understand everything across Apex. If you're working in Apex City of London, you may never have been to one of our other hotels, so understanding the fuller brand is really important, especially when it comes to guest connection and understanding guest journeys. We have the Grow Yourself here, which Kirsty's touched on, which is around our apprentices and our scholarships, are really important. A lot of work going on in that area around developing core apprenticeship programs for new entrants into England, and also some internal apprenticeship academy style programs. And then we have a knowledge hub, which we're developing. There's not a lot in there at the moment, but that importantly ties in with Kiki or the AI capability. So, and in fact, only today I was having a conversation with our head of people ops, and talking about putting all of our policies or all of our HR style policies into the platform, or linking it to the platform via the AI tool. So what you actually do is you generate a knowledge base. So for people on the ground, on the mobile devices, they can just ask the question, it serves the information, and only the information that's in our platform, right? And that's a really important part. But it gives a point of information to the individual on the ground when they need it. So all that kind of stuff is really important, and something we're continually developing.
Absolutely, and I think that's the point, isn't it? That it is continually developing, and it's not a case of throwing everything at everybody all at once, but actually strategizing over the 2, 3, 4, 5 year cycle and slowly bringing more and more into the system. I think we're seeing a lot of uptake now with Kiki as that kind of in the flow of learning, like finding things quickly. And we're soon to release the coach as well in V2 of Kiki, which will actually coach people as they go as well. So it's really exciting to see those changes happen. But it also feels very necessary if we think about the mobile app, which you've touched on a little bit. People aren't finding an hour and a half to sit behind a computer. They're finding 15 minutes on the break, or you might dedicate time for them to go away and learn. But they really want more out of less. And I think that's ultimately the goal here. I think more and more will be switched on in your site as you go, obviously, as you roll more out. But I believe you have started using Spaces as well recently for the first time. Is either of you comfortable talking about your plans for Spaces, and happy to dig into that?
I'll start, and Kirsty can go into the detail, because Kirsty's the guru around Spaces. We have a number of Spaces that we've actually created. I think you're just showing 2 there. And this is really, for us, is a proof of concept trial, and it's about always giving a reason for somebody to want to connect to the platform that isn't just compliance. And so like I say, if you connect people to HR policies. They're reading the policy, it's still learning. That is still learning. They're educating themselves. Spaces is more of a community approach, and obviously we can create an open space where the entirety of the business can join in, or there's one specific to a part of our brand, or in this case, you're showing Liberté, which is a restaurant in Waterloo Place in Edinburgh. And we're really trialing it. We're trying it through a couple of initiatives. But what we want to do is get people to connect, to talk, to share, to upload, to post, to share experiences or where things went well. Remember, 20% of learning is from each other, and I think Spaces is a great opportunity for us to do that and to enable people to learn from each other. But Kirsty's been building these out and knows a lot more than I do.
Yeah, I think just to jump on that point in terms of what Lee said, in terms of that learning from each other, you know, a space enables our people to create almost like a sense of community. So if you were to go into our mental health first aid space there, Ryan, mental health is something that's extremely important to Apex. Like it's I think for every business, it's one of those core areas that you really need to think about how are you going to best support your people in this area. Of course, we have our employee assistance program and things like that, but we knew we had to do something more than that to be able to best support. We have had mental health first aiders in the past, but we didn't have a place to be able to bring people together. So beforehand, it was like we put them on a course. Okay, that's great. And if someone needs assistance, then they can reach out to them. But actually, who was assisting and supporting those people after the qualification had been achieved? So that's where, when we first looked at Spaces, that we thought this could be a great community for our mental health first aiders to be able to connect and support one another, because I'm sure, as you can imagine, you know, being a mental health first aider, you know, you need that support yourself through those potential challenging conversations. So this space has been brought together with all of our mental health first aiders across the business, where they can share resources, whether it be through, you'll see on the subpages on the side there, whether it be through anxiety, depression, you know, whatever it may be. There'll be additional resources within there to better support our people in those difficult conversations. So that's a mental health first aid one.
Can I just caveat on that, just to reiterate, make sure we're all perfectly clear, because it's a very sensitive subject. The mental health first aid space is a closed group. It is only for the mental health first aiders. It's not a signpost that someone can go to say, I need help. That's a very different thing. So just really want to be crystal clear on that. But as you can see, as Kirsty's explained, the resources there are really useful for a community of mental health first aiders. Sorry, Kirsty.
I think that's a really good point. And one of the reasons we created Spaces, actually, which can tie into mentoring, but it was that managers are always the person somebody will go to, whether they have any issue. It could be any issue, from something serious like mental health through to something that's gone wrong on the shift. What Spaces hopefully helps organizations do is say, well, how do we connect people in a way where they are the most relevant to that subject, and not just say, because you're my manager, then everything flows through you. Of course, some things should flow through a manager. Compliance tends to be one of those things. But there's other areas where you might have a brilliant mental health first aider in London and a brilliant mental health first aider in Glasgow, both with fantastic ideas that maybe don't get to interact with one another because they just are separated by geography. So I think that's a really nice way to tie that together.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we also have another. Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to go into other spaces here. Never mind, don't worry about it.
We'll chat to see if we've had any questions. I don't actually think we have, but do you want to just you were going to mention a little bit more around another space that you have there, Kirsty? I did stop there and just talk.
I'm aware there's only 1 minute left, but I was just going to say that we also have our Liberty 1819 space, which is our bar and restaurant that's newly been refurbished in our Apex Waterloo Hotel in Edinburgh. And that space really is a place for our people to be able to go on and ask questions, share menus, any menu updates, any updates in terms of the restaurant, sharing cocktail recipes, you know, whatever it may be. That's another area where people can connect on a specific subject area that's most relevant to them. So yeah, that was all I was going to add.
No, I think that's really useful, and we're seeing we're going to release shortly in Kiki V2 the ability to search for spaces via Kiki into what spaces am I in, and spaces is also available in the mobile app as well. So again, it's about making it as accessible as possible, I suppose. So
Yeah.
people can find things as they go, and content can be added to those spaces. And I think what's nice about that is it suddenly feels less formal. Like I've been directed to complete this piece of training on our new bar. Actually, no, there's a space above the bar and there's content within there. And I think it just resonates with people a little bit more.
Yeah.
I appreciate we are close to time. We haven't got an exact hard stop, so I won't wrap up really suddenly. But one thing that I did want to ask you both, because you're on this journey now, you've gone through procuring a new platform, you've had the difficulty, I suppose, of that change management piece, which I think often is understated, like taking a workforce from one platform to another. It's never easy, no matter how shiny the platform is. All the way through now to, I suppose, that adoption phase of people are using the platform and you're starting to develop it further. Just a question to both of you, and sorry to put you on the spot. Like, if you had a piece of advice for somebody who's potentially watching this, who is A, either thinking about their first ever learning platform, or B, moving platforms, like what would that advice be, or what's a tip, or just maybe a thought or feeling you have around that? And I'll start with you, Lee.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I think so. You're right. It goes without saying, transitioning business from one platform to another, in terms of users, is one job. The other job is, safeguarding all your content and all your data from your previous platform. Fortunately, those weren't too arduous, but there's a lot of manual work. And you mentioned Henna did an awful lot of work in that respect, particularly from a content side as well, and was absolutely amazing. And I don't think we would have got through it without that input. I think assuming you've chosen your platform and your reason for choosing your platform will be your own, my advice would be is don't do it all at once. We were very fortunate that we went through an acquisition, and at the point of the acquisition, it was senseless for us to onboard that acquisition onto our existing platform to only offboard and re-onboard them in a month's time. So we used them as early adopters. So I would find a group of people, section of your business, where you're going to get a good, robust test bed, and use them as early adopters and make your mistakes through that process. So when you come to a fuller rollout, you know you got it right. You've made your mistakes already. That's a single piece of advice I'd give.
Yeah, I think for myself, I think when you take on a new platform, especially an LXP platform, you have this really great opportunity to think about how you're going to do things differently from what you previously did in your old platform. So I think for me, think about the content that you're going to be pushing out there. Don't front load it. Make sure it's different to what you were doing beforehand. You went for a new platform for a reason, right? So let's make sure that it's something that's going to be offering something different, because that's what's really going to attract and entice people to the platform. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the advice from myself. One thing that we did when we first launched the platform is we made sure we did not mention the word compliance. That was the main rule. And we did that, and I think that definitely helped to attract people to the platform, because it is viewed as something that is more than a platform that I have to go on. It's viewed as a platform that I want to go on, and I think if you can achieve that as an L&D professional, you're on to a winner. So yeah, that would be my advice.
As well as a good few competitions and prizes, of course.
Yeah, that definitely helps. Easter eggs and all.
With some of the stats we saw, I think that speaks for itself. I think you had 90% company-wide adoption within a few weeks of launching. I believe your highest ever platform engagement was during Learning at Work week. So that shows that the campaign banners really resonated with your audiences. And it's, I just think, to sum up the theme of today, it's people choosing to engage with non-compliance content voluntarily. So no, that's a really good insight. I'm pretty sure we could speak for hours longer, but I'm not sure LinkedIn wants to listen to my monotone voice anymore. So I just want to wrap that up there, and thank you both for your time today. I really appreciate you taking time away to speak with us. And yeah, if there are any follow-up questions we get, we'll share them with you. But yeah, thank you both for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank
Take
you,
care.
Kirsty.